A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you joining across the globe. I see a lot of registrations coming from every part of the country, in India and also globally. I would like to welcome on behalf of Dynamic Leaders Forum Toastmasters Club to the Club Knowledge Sharing Series, which we have just begun. Thank you for joining. I would be the presenter for today's session, and with the interest of time, we did not have much more role players to coordinate. I have all my club members who are a part of this meeting, and all of you are definitely interested to know more about branding, more about knowing different tools to use to design any brand compliant posters for Toastmasters. And for members who are not a Toastmasters, this would also give you a little bit sense about Toastmasters and what all happens in Toastmasters, the flyers, the meetings, and all of that. So it will give you a flavor when my club member, my club president would come on stage and speak a little bit about Toastmasters. So to just set up the ground rule, I would request all of you to have a notebook and pen if you want to make notes. It would help you to kind of put in some specific points. With the interest of privacy, we would not share these materials outside, but you can very well take screenshots of any screens. More or less, most of the materials are picked up from the brand manual, so do not worry about it. So all of the materials would be somewhere in the brand manual, and I would also reference the pages where they would be. Just to quickly begin, I would like to set up the expectations or understand the expectations for today's meeting. And for that, let me put up first the general ground rules for today's meeting. As this would be a workshop, I would definitely love to interact with all of you, but with the interest of time, we would keep the question answers towards the end. I would request you to rename yourself, maybe with just your name. That would be enough. If you're Toastmasters, you can put a Toastmaster and your name, so that if you're called for any questions, I would respectfully speak out if you're a Toastmasters. It would be great if you put all your audio devices on mute. That would help in smooth running of the meeting. We do not have a specific Zoom master, so we have my club members, but they would also love to be a part as an audience and not as a role player. So with that interest, I would request all of you to put your audios on mute and put your cameras on so that we can interact, we can speak, we can understand what you want to learn. And also, if you have a mobile device, I would like you to scan this code quickly to understand the expectations you have from today's workshop. This is a simple tool which we use for gathering a lot of expectations and comments from all of you. You can always go to www.menti.com and quickly type in the code which is put on the screen. Or if you have a QR code scanner, you can scan it. I would give you 30 seconds to quickly do that so that we all who are putting in next 60 minutes are all on the same page and I'm able to deliver you exactly what you're expecting. So let's give 30 seconds for you to scan. And I would request one of my club members to put the code on the chat. So if you're typing, I would just repeat the code. It's 87118277. So I'm sharing the expectation screen. So if you still haven't got the code, it's 87118277, and you just have to go to a simple browser, type in www.menti.com. And we'll wait for another 2 minutes for getting some of the expectations, and then we'll kickstart. To learn how to create advertising and promotional materials for my club, definitely to create better presentation. If you're not a Toastmaster, I would try to show you tools which you can use it for your office or your personal purpose to create presentations that can also be somewhere covered in today's session. Techniques of combining PowerPoint tools and create a presentation. Wow, that's nice. Let's give another 30 seconds. And if you put in the expectations, I believe we can all be aligned on the same page. Perfect. As we are going with all the people who are putting in their expectation, let me quickly put up a poll to just understand the audience for today. And meanwhile, others can just type in your expectations. Let me give another 10 seconds and then I'll close the poll and show the results. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. So I believe we have a very good mix of Toastmasters who are VPPRs. There are Toastmasters who are not VPPRs, and there are even some of the guests to learn some of the presentation skills from today's workshop. So let me begin. Let me introduce myself. My name is Toastmaster Syril, and I am a member and a VP membership, VPPR, Vice President membership, sorry, from Dynamic Leaders Toastmasters Club. And this session is hosted by my own club. The first session which I would be taking would be designing using PowerPoint. And let me put up the learnings which I would be giving back to all of you from today's session. And for me, it's always designed to express, because it's not just a responsibility, it's about how you want to put in your creativity into a canvas, which may be of different sizes. But putting in the right colors, right designs would definitely make you feel proud that you made some materials which got you a lot of members to join your club or know about your members outside. So if you belong to any of this following category, if you're a Toastmasters and you want to learn making flyers or posters, you would definitely learn a simpler tool for quickly starting off your journey if you're new. If you're kind of struggling with brand compliance, so in the first section of the workshop, I would also help you to understand branding a little bit in detail. And definitely Toastmasters branding or the brand experts do not want us to really scare with the bigger brand manual. So they've shortened it up with the revised version, so it would be easy for you to understand. And moreover, there are a lot of misconceptions in designing for Toastmasters. So I would be kind of sharing some of the resources which will help you to clarify a lot of clarity in how to design. So let me quickly speak about the different tools for designing, and probably this needs to be more of an interactive session. So I would be asking you some questions, and let's use chat option with the interest of time for you to respond. So talking about tools, there are multiple tools. I started 8 years back. When I started designing, I was asked to make a flyer, and I used Word to start off with, right? Microsoft Word back then, 2003 or 2007 version. And that's where my designing started. And slowly I migrated to different tools. I know a lot of tools from these, but I preferred PowerPoint, and I would speak about why I preferred PowerPoint and why I would preach PowerPoint for today's workshop. For the interest of all, there are really a lot of tools outside right now in the market. Most of you might be using Canva, and we have a dedicated Canva session on 10th of this month. But to be very honest, there are a lot of tools in the market. There are more than 50 plus tools in the market. And you need to pick up the right tool, the easy tool to get started with. And I picked up PowerPoint. And why PowerPoint? I told you, it was quite easy for me to adapt my designs or replicate my template so that I can use at multiple phases, right? Use the same template. I don't need to recreate something new and just copy paste and make changes to the colors. And it looks a fresh look, right? So that was one reason for me. The other reason was it's an application which everyone will have on the laptop or your desktop. It would be easy for you to quickly use this tool. And for me, being a corporate employee, it was difficult for me to switch from my personal laptop to my professional laptop, right? From a company laptop to the personal laptop. It was slightly difficult. And then all of a sudden I thought maybe let's try something different. That's where the PowerPoint altogether came in with designing. So whatever you see in this presentation or the posters which I would be showing as we go down the session is all talking or all made using PowerPoint. So I put a quick sections for today's workshop. So the sessions would be first, I would speak about the branding manual, the brand manual of Toastmasters. Then I would give some tips about designing, and then I would get onto some demo sessions and show you some of the PowerPoint designs which I have made so that you get a confidence that PowerPoint will no longer be just a presentation tool. It can be used for designing as well. So let's get started with knowing the brand. And a lot of you have already downloaded brand manual. A lot of you have already got scared with seeing the brand manual. So in the next around 10 or 12 minutes, I will be speaking a little more about brand manuals. And this is with interest of a lot of you who have just got onto the journey of the VPPR role. Most of you might be a VPPR from past term and they just wanted to learn more about this tool. So with the interest of the larger audience who would be joining the VPPR role from this month, I would just quickly run through the brand manual. So it all starts with what colors we have on the brand palette, right? The TI palette. And I would be focusing more on the RGB and the hexadecimal code. I would keep it less technical for most of you, but a typical brand color palette of Toastmasters would have these 5 odd colors: the loyal blue, the true maroon, the cool gray, the happy yellow, and true black. But a lot of you do not know which colors to use when, how to use, how much to use, what are the gradients, what are the different ways of using it. So that it's brand compliant, but still it looks beautiful. So the first question is, which are the colors I need to extensively use? What are the primary colors of a brand palette? And these 2 plus 1, that's loyal blue, true maroon, and cool gray, are the primary colors which the Toastmasters recommend all of you to use. And what the primary colors really mean. So these primary colors can be used for your background, for your gradients, for your elements, for any kind of font which you want to really put out, and any kind of graphics. So all the primary colors are usually used to put up on a design canvas. There are some other colors which Toastmasters call accent colors, which is the happy yellow and the pure black. This is specifically called accent colors because they recommend that if we overuse these colors, it would tarnish the branding of Toastmasters, because already the logo, if you see, there is not much of yellow and there's not much of black, right? If you start creating posters with a lot of yellows and black, people will not recognize this is a Toastmasters poster or this is a Toastmaster related material. And that's where we need to be really careful when we use these 2 colors and try to use it minimal, to highlight, to put some elements or put some specific font which you feel would look good using these colors are the accent colors. So these are the 6 colors, including white, which generally is a universal color you can use to create any kind of branding material. Let me get started with talking about the new additions to the brand manual, which is the gradients. which a lot of you would be thinking that how to create these gradients, right? So let me put little technical about what gradient is, right? A lot of you would say that it's a combination of two colors, right? Nothing. No, it's not like that. A gradient is actually on a color schematic. If a light falls with a particular angle, the color diffracts, and that's the whole beauty of how a gradient is formed. And that's why you will see that there would be some kind of degree, linear, radial. There would be degree like 90 degrees, 0 degree, minus 90 degrees on this gradient palette, as you see on the Toastmaster manual. And you can refer back to page number 13, which would show you these gradients. So a typical true maroon gradient is created by two different colors, either put in a linear fashion or in a radial fashion. I will be teaching you, I'll be putting up a demo how to create this gradient, definitely. But just for the interest, you can make notes of the RGBs or take a screenshot quickly. And till then, I can just check chat if there's any questions which is there for me. So this is a true maroon gradient, which has got recently added in the brand manual revised version, which came out early this month. Let's talk about the second gradient, which is available on our brand, the Loyal Brew gradient. So they really call some cool names for the gradient colors. The lighter version is called digital blue. So this is one of the gradients which you can use for your posters, and definitely I will be telling more detail about how to use, how you can make gradients look beautiful on your posters. But just for the interest, this is the second gradient which is available. And the third gradient, which I guess a lot of you have started using, is the cool gray gradient. And this gradient really goes well. As you can see, even my background is created using a cool gray gradient. And even my background is a PowerPoint image, which I'm using it as a background. So let's get on to the next part. Let me quickly ask you, how many font styles can be used under Toastmaster brand guidelines? Any guesses? How many font styles can be used?
4.
Let the chat come. 4, including options. Perfect. I'm getting a lot of 4s, so let me kind of kill the curiosity. There is a specific mention here of font styles, right? And we can literally use 40 different font styles. And a lot of people usually complain to me that, Syril, usually I can just use 4 fonts and I am not able to make it creative. I am not able to make it beautiful. So that's where Toastmasters is not restricting you from using different styles to make your poster look attractive. So let me get in a little more detail about the typography, which is the font. So Toastmasters have literally again given you 5 font families which you can use. And I have put some depiction of the font on the right hand side, which shows that why Toastmasters is kind of pushing you to use some specific font for heading, some specific font for the content. A lot of you would be using Canva, and for Canva, I guess Gotham and Myriad Pro are both not available, but there are other alternate fonts. But in PowerPoint, you can download all of these fonts. So there's no restriction. It's not paid. You can go to Google Fonts. You can go to dafont.com. There are so many font websites which will help you to free download these families, and you can just install it on your local computer. Let me get in detail about the different types of headings which Toastmasters recommend. So Toastmasters recommends 2 font families for using for you to use for the heading and subheading, and that is the Montserrat family and the Gotham family. As you can see, these fonts look really clean, neat, big in size, with the right visibility for it to be used for the headlines. But I believe a lot of members do use other fonts for the headings, and Toastmaster does not say no. So it's always they recommend you to use it. They have never said that, they have never forced you to use only these. But if you start using the others, you automatically would come back to using Montserrat and Gotham family for your headings. Let me get into the next set of font family, which is the Open Sans family and the Myriad Pro family and the Arial family. So Arial is also a universal font, which a lot of members miss, and they feel that we have only 4 fonts. If you see the brand manual carefully, there is also mention about use of Arial font, Arial family, which is definitely available on all the systems, and we have used it so many times. So Toastmasters, again, I'm emphasizing on the word that it recommends these fonts for body copy. That means the body of any flyer or design, it recommends, because this would look not very bold, or it would not stand out, but certainly it will give you the details required for the poster. Now, again, recently when I was doing this workshop, a lot of people said that they have a dilemma, right? Sometimes they're not able to download Open Sans family and they download Source Sans family. So which one should I use really to kind of get onto designing? And then I did little bit of research, and I wanted to share something that if you do not have Source Sans family on your system, or you do not have Open Sans family, which one you can use? Can you use either one, or you are restricted to use only one? Let's break the dilemma. Let me give you a little exercise just to observe these and tell me the differences in the alphabets of these 2 font families. You can unmute and you can speak. I've not restricted you, but can you quickly tell me that the differences here? Or do they look the same? Okay, let's not get into the styling of bold and it was thin. Let's get into the characters.
In terms of character, they look the same.
Okay, but still there is a difference. And let me reveal that difference. So both of these families have these 4 characters, these 4 alphabets, which are slightly different, but except these, all of them are same. And to be very honest, these are the alphabets which we rarely use. And that's where it's totally fine if you are not able to get the actual font family which the Toastmasters recommend, and you do alternate of picking up either a Source Sans family or either way around, whichever is free, whichever is available. So that's one thing I wanted to break a dilemma for a lot of you who think that maybe I'm not getting Source Sans family. Can I pick up Open Sans? And look same, but they're slight difference. But that's the dilemma which I wanted to quickly break. I would pause here. If you have any questions with respect to brand, I would pause here for 2 minutes, and let's get on to some of the tips which I have learned all this time for designing. If you have any questions with brand manual or the branding understanding, which I kind of spoke for last 12 to 13 minutes, please let me know. Perfect. I'll take the silence as no questions. So let me get into the next section, which is tips for designing. I believe every one of you are here for the same, right? A lot of you already knew about the brand, about a lot of things. Maybe some things would be new. One thing I missed is about using yellow and black as backgrounds. So again, these are not the primary colors, and hence Toastmasters do not recommend you to use the yellow, the happy yellow, and the pure black as your background of any poster. So try to kind of replace it with the loyal blue or with true maroon as your background if you want to use. And definitely these colors are not bad so that you cannot use or you're not able to design on these colors. Let me get on to my first tip, which I've learned all this time, and that's visualization of the designing. right? How do you really visualize the design? So in this sections, I would be speaking about the three very important things for a Toastmaster poster. Number one, obviously the content which is required for the poster. Number two is the images for the poster. And number three, definitely marrying the brand with the content and the images together to come out with a beautiful piece of canvas colored with pictures, content, and designing. Let's get on to number one, which is the content for the poster. When I speak about the content of the poster, this is very specific to the requirement. And we need to understand, do you need to create a poster which is minimalistic, or do you need to create a poster which has a lot of content? And it totally depends on the discussion you have with your XCOM or the event organizer or the meeting Toastmaster of the day, that what needs to really go in, what will actually add value for people who are actually seeing this poster and would join your meeting. So the content is something very personalized. So I would not comment much on the content, but a tip for people who are putting content on the poster would be, do not overuse a lot of text in your poster, because people are here to just understand what the event is all about and come. We should not definitely reveal a lot of information, which would probably put them thinking that, should I come or should I not come for this event, right? We are all, as a PR managers, we are here to get more guests, more members join in meetings. I know we all are creative. We want to make the theme come out from the brand perspective, but definitely sometimes it doesn't come out because Toastmasters do not allow us to use a lot of illustrations, clip arts. But do you really require that to attract people? That's where is the whole thought process which we need to change. Let's get on to the second part, which are images for the poster. And for these, I guess many of you would not know that we have a dedicated portal for all the images. And this portal is absolutely free. It's called toastmasters.photoshelter.com. Let me quickly show you the rest of everyone who might have not seen this portal before. Hope you are able to see the screen. So you just have to create a login. You log in with your username and password. And then you have set of images which are all brand compliant. And to be very honest, most of the images are picked up from Adobe Stock. So if you see similar images, Toastmasters have licensed these images for Adobe Stock. So you'll get a lot of different galleries, a lot of different images. So you really don't need to Google images for putting on your poster. But what I would recommend is, if you have physical meetings, pick up those photographs which would look more engaging, more realistic, more culturally aligned to your local setting, so that people could relate. And that would actually add more impact. You can also get all the images which you see in the brand manual in a separate section here. So for all of you, I guess this is one very important resource which a lot of you have not explored. So I hope you would not say that we do not have images to put for our posters. So there is a whole library for it. Let me get on to the second set of tool, or the website where I have used for picking up images, and that's Adobe Stock. I use a licensed version of Adobe, hence I have a stock free library. But for you, if you are not using Adobe or Adobe tools, you get your first 10 Adobe Stock images for free. For example, for your special events, if you want to really pick up some images which you don't like, so if you don't like specifically any images which is right now in the library, then you can definitely get onto these paid portals and pick up the first 10, which is definitely for free. If you ask me for putting up credit card and all, I guess we generally put it everywhere, and you can just remove it after you download your 10 images. That's where you save money, and you don't get into also the thought process that maybe your card would be charged, right? There is a question on the chat which says that how is 40 fonts that you mentioned can be used? I would repeat, these are not 40 fonts, these are 40 font styles. And if you see in the brand manual, maybe I can click the brand manual for the interest of all. In the brand manual as well, there are different stylings of the font, and people clearly miss the stylings of these fonts. Okay, let me just quickly, yes. People clearly miss stylings of these fonts to use in their posters to make it look better, make it look nicer. So just get onto the page number 16 and 17, and you would get more details about the typography, the styling, which actually I have used a lot for making the posters look nice. So let me get on to the next part on tips for designing. And a lot of you again have asked me that, how do you get creative ideas? I guess not everyone is born creative. People say, a lot of your club excom would say, or your members would say that you do not really require the spoon of creative to kind of make creative posters. And I would definitely not agree with them. It is a good tactic to get you involved in a VPPR role, but you require a little bit of creativity. Some people have that creativity. Some people adapt to creativity after seeing some creative materials. And this is one of the websites which I would recommend all of you. This is a paid website, but it has thousands and 3,000 templates, which you can see and then adapt to your poster. Definitely, I'm not saying here to copy the same layout, the way they have placed, but you can take inspiration from these templates to create your own posters. So so maybe I can quickly also show you this particular website, which is called Photo Wall. Okay. It's slightly difficult when we share the screen and everything is overlapping. Just give me a minute. Yes. So this is called Poster My Wall, and there are so many templates which you can use to take some inspiration and then try to design accordingly. These are editable templates, but I will definitely not recommend you to pay and download a template and change. But for a lot of designing, you can take inspiration, you can merge some designs together, design elements together, and that would really, really help you to create any kind of flyer, right? It's for your personal, or if it's for your Toastmaster journey, any kind of flyer, you can use these templates, and this actually helps a lot. Let me speak about very critical part of designing. What is the audience you're looking to engage with? What is the flow you are looking to engage with? When I'm saying flow, that's how a designer needs to think. Who is my audience? Is my audience using a laptop more, a desktop more, or a mobile or tablet? I believe a lot of people would answer that a lot of people use mobile and tablet. And to be very honest, I simply used a tool called bit.ly. I guess a lot of you might have used it to create links, but most of you do not know that you can do some analytics on it. You know how many clicks are there on those links. Like, I knew that how many clicks I had on this workshop, and then I anticipated the crowd. Definitely I had registration numbers, but I knew that how many people actually clicked to know what it is, and then how many really wanted to register for it. So all of this you can do using this bit.ly app, where you will know that how many people have clicked from a laptop, how many people have clicked from a desktop and a mobile and tablet. And that will help you to actually design what kind of layout the design should be. Should it be a portrait? Should it be a landscape? And all of this helps you to understand. Thank you for that. Let me correct. Okay, I'll correct that. Thank you for that. So it will help you to understand, is the audience would probably get more engaged by a portrait format, or would it be engaged by more landscape format? And it depends on the kind of content also which you want to place. So think of the content which is very heavy, would you like to kind of place on the top, or would you like to place in the bottom of your canvas? That would really help you to understand where is the right placement of those content, so that people who are actually skimming through knows that this is the event and this is the speaker and this is the content of the speaker or the topic of the speaker. So that way you need to really adapt, and it would come through practice. It would come through experimenting. But some tips is I would suggest try to put images on top and content below rather the other way around. Some of the designs I have put the other way around just to experiment. And again, I've used bit.ly to understand the analytics. And based on all the experience, I've seen that the posters which have got more clicks are the things which are more graphical, more of image, which is engaging. And that's where Toastmasters definitely emphasize on put images which are engaging. And they have tried and tested this. And I guess we should also see how engaging it is to use. So that's my second tip for all of you about the audience and about the flow, which is very important when you're designing. Let me come to the third part, which is the canvas size. And that's where I believe we have a brand WhatsApp group. We have even a Facebook group, which there's a lot of debate which size to use for canvas, how to select the canvas. And all of these are something which definitely comes a lot on our way. How much time our audience have to kind of gaze at your PR material. And with that, I have put together actually a well-researched topic here, where this is something which we miss out. That is the resolution or the pixels which are used for different kind of designing. So there is a designing which can be put on website, designing which can be used on your social media handles. And there are some golden ratios. And when I say golden ratios, these are the standard size which a lot of designers in the world, all the professional designers in the world really use to make their content look nice. They do not oversize it. They do not make it lengthy. They make it exactly these particular ratios, where I have put it in inches because I am telling you how to design using a PowerPoint. So I would show you how do you select a canvas size on it. So here I have specifically emphasized it on inches. A lot of them use A4 size, but typically for a Toastmaster setup, because we think that we try to share a lot of content using WhatsApp and we try to share a lot of content on Facebook, a better size or a better resolution. Again, Instagram has become a new space for us to do our PR. And that's where I prefer square size most of the times whenever the content is less and I don't want to overcrowd with a lot of text. It actually, so an audience need not really open the photo on the phone. They can see the full content as is. So it helps you to tell the audience what the event is all about, rather than masking something and then they have to click on the image and it opens in full screen and see it, right? So I would recommend try to design in square size most of the time. And if at all you're not able to put your content, you're not able to put your images together, that's where I would recommend you to go with other sizes. Some of the designs which I would be showing in the next few minutes are designed in 7:9 to 10 ratio, or 7 inches into 10 inches ratio, which has come out really well based on the actual understanding of the audience that can I fit the content in square size. So let me pause here for a minute. And this is definitely not a brand compliant image, but I spoke to you about few things. And I have kind of summarized it here for the interest of all, that I spoke about putting in the right content. I spoke about the flow of the designing, how the audience would like to see, whether he would or she would like to see from top to bottom, left to right, or the audience whom I'm targeting. Are they a laptop user, a mobile user, or a desktop user? All three are very important audience for us to engage. And we need to think from that perspective that which canvas size would help in. And definitely the references, which if you're using from for a video, there are some reference site which gives you a free download, but they recommend or they advise you to put their credits towards the end. And that's very mandatory because they're putting in that efforts to give you some free resources. Why can't we give a little reference about them towards the end? So that is all which I would say as a beginner guide for designing, I would put on table. Let's come to the actual workshop. And I spoke about the brand, I spoke about how to do designing. Now let's actually show you some of the designs which I've created with PowerPoint that will give you a little confidence that post this workshop, it will really help you to get on designing with PowerPoint. And these templates are something which has a mix of something which I got inspiration from some other designs, few designs put together. Sometimes I just doodle and then I put on the normal paper, I draw it, and then I try to put it on the screen. So it is a combination of all, and maybe I can quickly show you some of the designs. All of these are created using PowerPoint. Nothing is done outside the PowerPoint world. So these are some of the sample designs. Some of the designs are available as a template available on Toastmaster website, and I would strongly recommend you to go and check that out for you to understand. So any kind of element you see is all created using PowerPoint. Some are very simple, powerful to explain about the session. Some are real creative so that the attraction goes to the speaker. Some are all of these are brand compliant. And recently I got to know about the opacity and the transparency ratios. So I would suggest when I'm showing the demo, I would get in little detail about how sensitive transparency is for Toastmasters and why we should abide by that. So all of these are some of the posters were inspiration from a club called Hill Capital City, which is in District 82. So I try to see that they also use PowerPoint. Some of the PR there use PowerPoint and try to replicate how they did it. And I guess it was not difficult for me to pick their standards and pick their way of doing it, put in my touch of designing, and then created all of this. And you can create agendas for your meetings, special meetings using PowerPoint. You can edit it, it's quick to edit. You can use the table format for putting it in a proper tabular format. A lot of this. Let me quickly run through these sample designs. So I told you about templatizing, and I use templatizing for these posters. Again, a lot of you would say that black is not recommended. Again, Toastmaster does not say do not use black. They say do not use black more than 50% of the whole canvas screen. So if you put all the percentages of colors, they do not want black to be dominating color or yellow, the happy yellow to be the dominating color. So you can create a single template and try to change the colors for different kind of roles, contest, etc. And recently, these are the posters which I created using PowerPoint and with the new brand manual, which are there. This has a transparency of using the transparency which Toastmasters recommended. And I was just trying to test how best we can do. Can we overlay on the images? And I had a check with the brand experts, and it really helped. So let's start a quick demo. And before that, let me pause here for any questions. Any questions before we get on to the demo? And then I would kind of showcase one design end to end quickly. Okay, fine. I guess we do not have questions, or I'm very boring. So I will take both the ways. You can make a meeting link, a hyperlink in the posters, provided they are not JPEG or PNG. It is a PDF. So a lot of clubs do circulate PDF, and in PDF you can definitely put in the hyperlinks so that people can click on that. Most of them recommend you to use a QR code scanner because most of the smartphones already have QR code scanners. I have tried it. I did not find it very effective and I thought it's consuming a lot of space, so I stopped it. But again, my club feels we should, and we are trying to do it, experimenting again. So when it comes to photos, if the theme is somewhat, say, happy chemicals of happiness, okay, and you want to show a smiley ball, definitely you can't show a smiley ball. It is not recommended by Toastmasters, but you can show some different emotions of happiness in your posters by using different images put together. But let's be sensitive of the factor that we do not want to highlight someone else or try to use so much of clip arts and illustrations, which will actually dominate our posters. Thank you. I see some of them saying it's interesting. Yes, you can edit the photograph. Ensure that it's not disrespectful for any of the photos which you're using. Do not put a mustache on the photograph, which will look funny, but definitely something which will not recommend. But if you want to kind of tweak with putting some kind of hat, I guess you can get a hat image, right? Rather than taking that effort to put a hat, why not just pick up a hat-based image? I'm not sure it's available, but if you check, I guess a lot of images would be there. And definitely you cannot use nature-based images. Do read the brand rules for use of images. It's clearly mentioned that they're trying to put people, because we are a group of people. We're kind of the community which are together, and we're trying to put it together. Yes, any kind of design is suitable to be displayed on Facebook and Instagram, but the best suitable size I told you is 1:1, which is a square size. You can design a square size, put it on Facebook, Instagram. You do not have to really click to open it in full screen to see the details. It will be there as is. And I don't know, maybe in the future, Facebook will try to adapt to new layout so that we can use more ratios there. So when we come to animations, this is specifically GIFs. And I do not know how to create GIFs using PowerPoint. There are tools where you can put 3 images together on an online platform and create GIF. But in the next session, which is the Canva session, I believe there is a way how you can do a motion graphics with it. You can create a simple video, quick video, which will show some animations. So that can be done. This is just for the interest of people to see some designs. And if you see on the website which I showed, which is Poster My Wall, you see that there is a static image or static content and a motion video which is running. That was something which I also experimented, and that's very well doable on a PowerPoint. You can create a video, you can keep some static content, and you can kind of export it as MP4. So it might be a 10 seconds video, and you really don't need to put in any brand statement because it would look like a GIF. It will not look like a actual video. So any video which would be more than, say, 30 seconds or 40 seconds, Toastmasters recommends you to put up a disclaimer at the bottom so that it's easy for people to know that this is a Toastmaster related material, and anything which goes wrong because of this material, Toastmasters will not be blamed for it. So if you're using anything like FreeToast and WordPress, I would recommend you to design it in higher resolution. When I say, I usually design it in 10:10 inch, but if you want to make it a higher resolution, you just double the size, right? Make it in 20:20. Again, the resolution would increase the pixels per inch. That's called PPI, right? That will increase, and that would look less pixelated when you kind of put that image on website. But there are a lot of professional tools or professional Tools like Canva is also one of the professional, easy to go use tools where you can design things and put it on these websites like FreeToast and WordPress. So let me pause on the questions and let's speak about how do I start designing, right? I need to start designing today. And what are the things which I need handy? Number one, I need to know which application I want to use. I can use Photoshop, Illustrator. There's so many tools. I showed you 50 odd tools. Or I can use PowerPoint, which I'm going to show you. So you need to decide on the tool which you're using and keep it consistent. Do not change your tools unless it's very important, right? Unless you're not able to really design in this tool, then go to some other professional tool and use that. There are a lot of tutorials available on YouTube, but definitely a hands-on training helps them to understand some of the specific questions or some of the ease of using a tool. Number two is keep all the details ready. What are the images you want to use? What is the content which look like, which you want to put in, right? What are the meeting links? So that's easy. And to be very honest, from thinking from a plain canvas to designing it completely, it should not take you more than 2 hours. But you should always tell your XCOM that I would take 1 day for the safety, but it will not definitely take more than 2 hours if you know everything. You know simple methods to create designs, use shapes, whatever I'm going to show you in the next 15 odd minutes. And then again, it's the third point is very important. If you're not in the right state of mind, please do not design. You will make it really worse, right? This is one thing which I always recommend a lot of people. Are you able to see the screen, which is power of PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I see some of them are having some technical issues. So definitely it's very important for you to design in the right state of mind. For me, designing is like if I'm very upset with something and I come on designing and really put some really nice colors and try to design so that I can kind of kill some time and also distract myself from the disturbed state of mind. Some of you are very happy and they want to design. So it all depends on which state of mind you want to really design. Let's get started with the demo sessions. I know we are 10 minutes to close, but I've already informed my club members and I wanted to take your permission. I would slightly extend this workshop by 15 odd minutes to complete the demo session and also to show you a hands-on PowerPoint presentation. So with the permission of all of you, I would go ahead with that. So let's get on to doing a simple design, which I'm going to show you on the screen. I've created an animated video, so that's easy for you. And let me pause at some intervals for you to see the different things which are here. Here, I'm trying to open a new presentation, a regular presentation on PowerPoint, and I'm going to fix the canvas, what size I want to choose. And that's where the tutorial says you need to go to design. Then after you click design, then you need to go to slide size, and then you go to custom slide size, and then you pick up the design. And as I said, I will be designing it in square. So I use 10:10 inches. There is no pixels. And that's where this is how you actually pick up a canvas size on PowerPoint. If you're designing for the first time, it's very important that you have all your colors handy. And that's where I'm going to show you how do you create a master template for yourself so that it's easy that next time you're designing, you don't really have to go to your brand manual, but you just have to create some cubes or squares and you fill the colors with the brand colors. So you can use the RGB or you can use the hexadecimal code. For the latest version of PowerPoint, they have already given hexadecimal ways to add colors. So you click on fill shape, go to more fill shape and pick up the colors. So I'm copy pasting all the hexadecimal codes. If your Word or your Microsoft Office is old, do not worry, you do not see HEX, which is hexadecimal format of colors. Please go ahead and use the RGB format. So any color is a combination of red, green, and blue. or it's a color of same by K, it's also a format, or it is it would be a kind of a digitalized code which is used. So here I have created a simple palette for me so that I do not have to go to brand manual again and again and again for doing any kind of thing. And I group this and I will copy paste this anywhere on any slide so that it's there. So this is how you actually start off designing from zero. Once you have your basic things ready, now I will tell you about how to create a gradient in the PowerPoint, right? How I actually the different 3 gradients can be created and what is allowed and what is not allowed. So for a gradient, again, you go to the shapes, you pick up a shape, you cover the whole working space, the white space with the shape. Try to remove the outline always, because maybe most of the tools have the outlines and we don't want the outline for a gradient, right? The gradient is a dispersion. So here what I did is I went to, let me pause here so that you don't get confused. What I did here is I went to fill colors, and in the fill color drop down, there is something called gradient. And I clicked gradient there, and it opens up a toolbox on the right hand side, which shows what I need to fill. I need to fill with gradient, I need to fill with solid colors, I need to fill with pattern. Patterns are not allowed in Toastmasters, but you can always use solid colors or gradient. You select the gradient and you can see that there is something called gradient stops. And for our Toastmasters, we would not use more than 2 stops, that is the start stop and the end stop. When I say stop, do not go with the technical. It's basically 2 colors, 2 pins which you want to use, 2 colors you want to use. And you see that in our gradient on our Toastmasters manual, there are 2 gradients, right? 2 hexadecimal code. That is, it's a combination of 2 different colors together. And there is an angle where you again see in the Toastmaster manual, there would be 90 degree, there would be 0 degree, there would be minus 90 degree. You just have to copy paste that and use it. So let me play it again. So we were here, we selected the color. You need to select each pin and then go to the color which you need to choose. And as you know that one of the colors are regular colors, the other color is different. So you get into the part which shows about the gradient, and there would be another hexadecimal code or a RGB code you can copy. So here I'll be using the blissful blue. Earlier they used to call it as digital blue, but I don't know why they changed the name, but it's okay. So you go to more colors, and again the same exercise to kind of pick. Do not have colon spaces. The hexadecimal code starts with hash. So use that, and that's your basic gradient. Done. Let's get on to the true maroon gradient. Again, the base one color remains the same. The other color changes. So for the second stop, I would use a different color. So again, you need to go to the brand manual, select the hexadecimal code here, which is the deep maroon, which is the darker shade. So they have used a darker shade here for the brown gradient. And I've started using this a lot because it looks really nice. And the third, and I guess my background is the cool gray gradient. So let me pause here again and tell you about that. You can change the location. If it's linear, if it's top to bottom or bottom to top, you can change the pin location left to right, and that would help you to literally inverse the image. You really don't need to rotate the shape to inverse the color combination. You can do that. And here there are some directions, so you really don't need to pick any specific. You can click on the directions small box, and it will show you that you want the darker on the top, left, right, center, bottom, and you just pick it up. You do not have to worry about the degree and all of that. That really is not required because, you know, PowerPoint is easy for use. So that's where the gradients are used. So these are the gradients which would be used, the 3 gradients. And let me speak about which are compliant and which are not compliant. And whatever you see in brand manual is compliant. Whatever you don't see in brand manual is not compliant. A lot of you would like the 4th image which is shown. The 4th image is not a brand compliant image or brand compliant gradient. Do not try to use 2 colors and do a gradient. It looks cool, it looks nice, fancy, but again, that's for some reason Toastmasters have not recommended us to use that. And in the meanwhile, I'll check some chat or questions which we have. Can we combine 2 colors using transition? Maybe can you unmute yourself and speak about what do you mean by transition?
Yeah, the last slide which I've been showing.
Okay. No, and I would come there.
Yeah. Okay.
You cannot, you should not, or they have not permitted as of now. By some God's grace, they have started permitting the brown and the gray, but definitely this transition, or we call it as so this is the 3 gradient which you can use or do it very easily within 10 seconds on PowerPoint. I don't know how it's done on Canva. Maybe the next session presenter would speak about that. Let's talk next in topic about how to crop a photograph. And a lot of you would get a lot of images from your club PRs and club membership that we want to put these members' photographs, but they send you in different dimensions. Some would be full photographs, some would be a square photograph who are nicer and who would love to make your life easy, so they'll give you in square crop photograph. Some of you would give in different size. So maybe I'll quickly pick up a sample photograph from here and show you how do you crop it. And here I'm using not a regular 1:1, that is a square size photograph. This looks like square, but if you see, if you double click on that, you will see that the height and width are different, right? And if I try to make it the size which I want, 4:4, it's not coming to that size. And I'm specifically emphasizing on cropping here because cropping will actually help you to redesign your images or your photographs in different format. So a very easy tool is here. A very easy tool here is basically you crop the image. Okay, back. Okay, a very easy tool here is either you kind of crop the image by using a crop tool, where you will crop the tool, click here, click crop, and try to manually adjust the width and height so that it matches. But that would take a lot of time. So other way around is try to use shapes, and I would go a little detail when I'm showing you the live demo about how to do this. So you click a shape and you kind of cover this image with the shape. And maybe a lot of you might not actually understand this particular tip which I'm giving, or this particular way of cropping the image. But once you get used to it, you will love it, because you can crop so many things in different shapes and sizes. You actually use a control, and for 1:1 sizing, we all use control on our keyboard. So you click control and you make a square, which is 1:1, and then you kind of subtract it. So here you need to select both the images. Maybe I'll fast forward it. You need to select both the images, and then once you click on merge or intersect, it will cut the outside part, and now this is 1:1. Cropping is very important because now from here you can change it to any shapes. You want it square, circle, you want it curved, rectangle, you want it in different shapes. It's easy, right? So I hope this is very useful as a tool, and you might have seen some of the posters have such symbols. I would get in little detail when I am showing the live demo. I wanted to keep this as video because I want to use these
gradients quickly for the interest of all. So you pick the photographs from where you want to pick. I'll speak about this gradient as in a design. So here, if you see that the right-hand side is transparent. How did I achieve that? I made the simple gradient and I actually picked up one stopping point and increased the transparency to 100%. For that instance, the shape's transparency would reduce to 0. So opacity would reduce to 0. And that's where I'm able to kind of come up with this kind of a design element, which I can use to put some text in between and look fancy. So I'm going to show you that all of these are elements, either some shapes or some kind of designing. So there's nothing like I've taken some images and put together. It's using the images in the right format and putting it together. So maybe another 3 minutes and we'll get on to our live demo. So once you have your template set, you just have to copy paste in multiple designs and it's easy for you. Some of you usually do not want the editable copy to go out, so you would change it to a non-editable format, which is copy it and convert it into an image. So a lot of people do that. So again, this is also 3 elements put together in the right way and you get the design. I showed you about the cropping. All of these are different shapes, different elements created by different shapes put together and put in a nicer way. And you can reuse this template in multiple ways. So I will give you some suggestion for using colors here. Is which colors would go really good, and I guess a lot of you have already started understanding which colors would go better on which primary colors. So yellow really goes well on blue and the true maroon, but if you use yellow on gray, it doesn't look good. So I would not recommend you to use happy yellow on gray gradient. So try to use a darker gradient. Try to use the primary colors like blue or brown, true or brown, and that really looks as a contrast. So it's very important that you show your element in a contrasting way. The good part is all the colors which are recently used would be there in the recent tab, and you just have to click that and it will help you to really design it very fast. So again, this is also something which I would not recommend. Some of the designs I've tried to use, but only when I'm using gradient, and when I'm using the gradient of light to dark, I've used the royal blue color towards the lighter side of the design so that it looks a little contrasting, but definitely not recommended. Do not use blue on maroon. So these are the color combinations which I would definitely recommend you to try to use white, yellow, or try to give some kind of design styling, and it would look really good. Let's talk about a little bit about transparency here before we get on to the live demo. So transparency and opacity are really inverse of each other. And on a brand manual, some places it's written opacity, some places it is written transparency. And in PowerPoint, it is quick and easy to use a transparency than opacity. So you want to make an image as transparent as 30%. That means it is 70% opacity. And that's where Toastmaster Brand Manual has put in that what kind of transparency they're looking, what kind of opacity they're looking. They do not want a transparency to make a different color altogether. And that's where they're keeping it to 70%. That would help that the color, the actual color of that particular palette, the color of that palette does not really change. So that's where the whole idea is. Maybe I'll quickly get on to the brand manual to show you the transparencies here. That in the transparency section, they've ensured that the color really don't change, right? They've mentioned on which color, which transparent element can be used, on which color, which transparent element can be used. So you just have to ensure that you put the right percentages here, and you're done. You are here with getting the transparency. You do not have to really think too much. How do I create some transparent elements? So I spoke about opacity is equal to, and now let's create a poster from the scratch. But let me take some questions which are there here. When we try to paste an image on PowerPoint, it generally comes with a background. How effectively to remove that? Okay, perfect. I'll pick that up quickly. Okay, so before that, for the interest of a lot of guests who have come, how did you do the image that had both colors and white block with text going through it? Can Toastmaster Trish unmute and explain me what he's trying to understand here?
Yeah, so on one of the images you showed up, you had the burgundy color on the top, or was it the blue on the top, and then the other color on the bottom, and then you had a white banner going from the lower left-hand corner up to the right-hand corner. And I'm just wondering how you got the two different colors on the same page.
Perfect, that's the gradient. I'll show you the demo of that.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. So I'll come there. Okay. So let's pause here. I guess I need 2 minutes of break, and let me invite my president, Toastmaster Sridevi, to come and speak a little bit about the club, and maybe I'll drink sip water by then. Toastmaster Sridevi is currently our president for this term. She's a storyteller. She's a dynamic Toastmasters. I guess she after meeting her, you will be all interested to join our club. But before that,
Toastmasters International.
Let me quickly play the Toastmasters International video for the guests who have just joined in.
Is a non-profit organization that has helped.
Just a minute.
Toastmasters International is a non-profit organization that has helped millions around the globe build confidence with public speaking. Since 1924, our Learn by Doing program will give you improved communication, public speaking, and leadership skills, all while building confidence for your next big presentation, whether it's in person or online. From those looking to change the world to those just looking to give a boost to their career, we know how to help. Build confidence in you. Visit toastmasters.org/find to connect with one of our over 16,000 clubs.
Over to you, Sridevi.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to fellow Toastmasters and the guests. Dynamic Leader Toastmasters Forum is happy to have you here in our knowledge sharing series. Knowledge is power. Knowledge shared is power multiplied, isn't it? This is the quote told by Robert Boyce. This is the inspiration behind this workshop series. Let me give you details about our club. Dynamic Leaders Forum Toastmasters Club. Our club was chartered in the pandemic times. We are just 1 year old, and in the past year, with the wonderful leadership of our immediate past president, Toastmaster Dr. Ashwati Rajan, we bagged many awards. You are seeing those awards in the screen right now. Now, in this term, we are again ready with our yet another vibrant team to help each and everyone to work together and achieve the mission and vision of Toastmasters. You have the details of our social media page in the screen. We invite you to join our guest group. We welcome you all for our meetings that will be conducted every Sunday from 2:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. IST. Seeing the comments on the chat window, we understand that the session was really useful, and I thank Toastmaster Syril for this amazing session. I once again extend my gratitude to each and every one of you to take your time to attend this workshop. Following this, we have yet another workshop the next week on Saturday, the same time. It is on creating videos using Canva. I invite you all to make use of the session. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Syril.
Thank you, Sri ma'am, for that quick break for me. And let's get on to actual live demo of creating a poster. And maybe let me share my screen. So I always start designing with some kind of markup, which I usually do on a paper and pen. And that's where usually we need to understand. And then I collect my images. If you can see my screen, I've put together some of the designs which I really liked in the last 1 week. And I thought maybe I can try to use these images, which might not be brand compliant, to create something very unique for a design, which I'm going to show you in the next 10 minutes. So there are different kind of designs which I really liked, and maybe I'll use about these designs in our in my poster. And then I have picked up some of the images of my club members as speakers, if I want to put something like speaker images, just to save time. So you need to keep all these images together so it's easy for you to start designing. And let me show you the mockup which I've created. So this is the mockup which I've created, and I thought that what is required. I want a square design, and this I do it on paper and pen, quickly doodling it and understanding that how do I present it. Most of the elements usually are already created. Some of them are recreated. Some of them are created new. So you know how you want to place the design element, right? Simple, create some blocks. A lot of corporate people already know how to do mockups, and this is how you do a mockup. And it takes 5 to 10 minutes. And do it when you are in good mood, because once the mockup is ready, you're all set to design something fantastic, right? That's how things happen. So let me get on to the actual demo. So as I showed you the presentation which had gradients, a few of them asked me how did I create this gradient, and maybe let me show you how did I create a gradient. You already know how do you fix up the canvas size. You go to design, you go to slide size, you go to custom slide size and pick up design size from here. If you want to use normally a social media poster, you can pick up 10:10. If you want to make it even more resolution wise better, you increase the size of this to maybe 20:20, which will give more pixels per inch, colors per inch. And once you have this plain template, you remove all these text-based things which were shown on the screen when you open a new presentation, shows add titles and all of that. Just remove all of this, delete it off. And then all the designing or most of the designing elements happens using shapes. So I go to insert, I go to shapes, and I select this square image. Okay. If I just click and drag it, it can be of different size. But here specifically, if I'm making notes, if I click control, if I insert shape, if I click control and keep clicking control, if I keep clicking control, it will show a size which is a square size, or which is a symmetrical size, right? So once you pick up this size, you remove the background, outline, double click on this image, and it will show you fill shapes. Click fill shape, go to gradient, go to more gradient, and you'll see the gradient box here, or a form shape fill box here. Here, Most of the systems will be pre-selecting solid fill. Click gradient fill because you want to see the gradient fill. There will be multiple stops. Delete the stop by clicking on the stop and click delete. Click on the stop and click delete, and it will have two stops. So you can have the darker spot or the lighter spot, right? Next is, how do I come to say this color? Or maybe someone was talking about the maroon color, right? This is a combination of two different colors. Let me quickly do that. I double click here on one of the stop of gradient. I again click here. It will show color here. If I click here, it will show the color of this stop here. Do not worry about the color which is in the middle, but click on the stop and then click this color box here. It will show you multiple colors. And as we know that I've already recently used colors, I'll not use recently used colors. Let me go to more colors and use a hexadecimal code for Roma, right? How do I do that? I would probably go to my presentation, brand manual, go to brand manual. So maybe once you create the gradients, it will be easy for you to reuse the gradient once the master PPT is ready or presentation is ready. So I'm on the gradient page. There are two maroons here, right? The deep maroon and rich maroon. So let me copy the rich maroon here. For people who are not used to shortcuts, Control C is the copy. Paste here and click enter. So one of the stop gradient would be colored with that maroon color. The other needs to be the other color. So again, I go to the brand manual. I'll select the deep maroon with starting from hash. Sometimes in copy, you may select the colon and space. So if you enter, it will say invalid and will return to the original value. So when you paste it, ensure that you delete all the extra characters, space, and click enter. That's how you create a gradient. You can change the direction of the gradient from here directly. If you want to kind of change to radial, you can change it to radial. Again, once you select radial, it will show different radial formats. So this is the center radial, where the light color is in the center and the dark color in the surrounding it. So maybe I'll use this to design. And once this is actually set, I will just copy this. I can move this shape. I'll copy this and let me come on to my working PPT, which I'll be using. And here, let me quickly place that gradient, which I just recreated here. I'll be talking about these elements, which are PowerPoint from basic to intermediate for a lot of you to quickly understand. And I have already covered gradient as a tool. So let me highlight it as green. Let me go a little detail in the shape slicer tool, right? How do I do the shape slicer here? The spotlight is still on president. I would request the co-host to spotlight me if people would like to see me. Thank you. So let me come to the shape slicer. How do you use the shape slicer? And shape slicer is used for even cutting the shapes and even cutting the images. So do not think that when I'm saying that you can only slice a photograph, you can only slice photograph, you can slice even images. Let me show you how do you slice an image here. Let me say I have a circle. I create a circle, and I really don't need the whole circle. I want to make this into a design element. So what I do is I want to make it like a curved circle. I want to kind of have, let me fill this color. I want to only have the green portion as a part of my design. I don't want the blue portion. And again, green is not a brand color. So let me pick the brand color. I have created my master. So as I said, I will not use blue over brown. Let me use yellow. And remove the outline. And now I need only this shape. So what I do is I select both. Okay. Let me reduce the size of the PPT for these. I select both. Then I go to shape format. I'm going slow here. Go to merge shape and I select subtract. Okay. I'll repeat. I select both images. go to shape format, I go to merge shapes and I select subtract. And this is one element I've created. I'm thinking something different. I'm thinking putting a moderator and MOC somewhere here. Let me put it here. And I need an image here to fill in, right? Some kind of image. So let me insert an image. So either you can go to my toolkit, which is the poster material, and I need to insert this image. Maybe I just simply copy this and paste it. This is not a good method, but an easy method. So if I copy it and paste it, it will get pasted. You really don't need to click insert, click picture, search in picture and paste it here. This is the easy way to, because you're not creating a very high resolution image, right? So again, as I told you that I need to fix this image on this, but I don't know, I'm not able to see how do I fit this, right? So what I do is I would select this image and I would reduce the transparency of the image to see that whether this face is coming in the circle. Okay, now I'm able to see that the face is coming in the circle, and I can kind of reduce the size so that more of his background comes in. And now again, I use the same shape slicer. I select both the images. How do I select? Either I click and drag to select both the images. I selected both the images. Go to shape format, merge shapes. Okay. I guess this should go behind the shape, right? So let me send it backwards. Select both the images. Go to shape format. Select intersect. And that's where I did not do anything, and this has absolutely placed. And again, you'll say that this is transparent. How do I come back to the original colors? Simple. Shape, picture format, transparency, increase the transparency to full. So this is my person whom I want, who's engaging, who's nice. So that's how you quickly do it. I want to place a MOC or a person who's going to be the primary speaker here. So let me again use my hack of copy pasting an image. Let me pick Suresh sir. So Suresh sir is a member of a club. So let me pick his photo, and he has been quite generous to give nearly a image which is square, but not exactly square. Let me do my little tweak. So if the images are okay, you can do a manual adjustment so that it is 1:1. So here the width is more than height, so I will reduce the width. And I would still reduce the width. So this is not a good technique, but just showcasing. This is fine, I guess. Let me again crop it into circle, and his photograph is cropped into circle. So I don't really need to use any tool to crop it. A lot of you asked me how to remove the background easily. Okay, let me show you a quick tool I learned 2 days back. I used to do a different method. I will show you that method as well. Maybe let me show you that method first. And I found this method better. So what I used to do is I used to click here, go to remove background, and then do all nonsense, which is like selecting one which I want to delete and selecting one which I don't want to delete. It is most of the time it's useful, but I guess this is a stupid way of doing it. And recently I learned a tool which helps in doing it quicker, faster, and very accurately. Let me get onto that tool. Most of you might know it. If you don't know it, thank me later. And thank our VPPR Toastmaster Rosa, who helped me to know about this tool. Let me get onto, okay. Let me minimize this. And this is a website which helps you to remove your background. And let me show you a magic here. You go to any image. Let me pick up from my space, the poster material. And let me pick, again, sir, Toastmaster Suresh Mali sir, and Magic, right? I download it, use it, and this works 90% accurately. Sometimes it messes up, but 90% works. So I'm just copy pasting this website on the chat. You can use this to remove your background. If you feel you want to remove a background and do some fancy thing with this image, you can do that. So let's come here. So I don't want to use Suresh sir with that color. I want to make it a little more brand compliant. Maybe what I'll do is I'll make a circle and I'll place him in that circle, right? I'll place him in the circle. Let me insert his image from where it is downloaded. So transparent image. Let me place it here. If I want to invert him, I want to ensure that his face is on the left. I go to rotate and flip horizontal. So his face will be on the left. So it's easy. You don't have to worry, but I'll keep it the same because maybe he likes this way of posture. Let me use my favorite color on brown, which is yellow. And it has a background. So let me delete that background. And what I would do now, again, simple. I would select both the images, go to slicer and merge it. Shape format. This is a very useful tool. Okay. So the shape which you want to be there should be on the top. Okay. So that's the only small tip I would give. It should work. I guess because this is an image, it's not working. It's okay. Let me. Yeah, it should work.
The picture PNG is it because of that?
Maybe, yeah, because of that. I don't know why I'm doing this because this is already in square. Maybe I can crop it in circle. There's so many methods and I can just place it here. Right. So once you know the tools in and out, it's easy. Then you have that image, group it so that once you move, it moves the same. That's my speaker for today, Toastmaster Suresh. Next is, let's get on to my mockup. Here I want to put my date. So every time when you select the design, you can select everything on the canvas and group them, right? Once you group them, if you move these, it will all be moved together. Let me show you something which I have recently started using is trying to make the canvas small and trying to put some kind of date or information in the top. And I'm trying to do something which is I recently saw on this poster, but modifying it a bit, right? Just modifying it a bit. So let me use the shape, the same shape if I want to use. Maybe let me use the same shape. I will rotate the shape. I'll place it here. Maybe I'll use the white color here. Okay. So once this is placed, I can make this as a hook. Okay, how do I make it as a hook? You need to smartly know how do you can play with the shapes listed here. Maybe I'll use this shape. So I can just use text box to put in text if the shapes have been inverted. Let me use something which I'm already created. Maybe that will ease some time for me as well. Let me use element from here. So I've already created this element. Let me paste it here. So whatever you see in the white space is only the thing once you export this image will be seen here. So you can use your previously designed elements here. And just place it here, right? So this is what I would probably call it as shape slicer. So let's say that right now you know how to do shape slicer. When I speak about elements, the elements here in PowerPoint is mostly these shapes. How do you want to do the shapes? If you want to kind of create some kind of Zoom link or some kind of website which needs to be put on the bottom, you can always use such kind of shapes and just color it whichever color you feel is the right color. And yeah, so that's how you actually can type in anything. Right? You can put in the Zoom logo. And here, if you see that, if I put in on full screen, this is what would be my output. This particular screen will be my output. Whatever I see on the left and right and which is going outside my canvas will not be my output when I export it out. So you can use any kind of material elements. Maybe I can show you one element which I recently used for all, just to show you that element. Maybe I can pick up that. Yeah. So let me show you something which I recently did. So this was the element which I used for creating a simple calendar. So I used the background as a trapezoid and then used the same image which I was using there. So something like this can be created. You can give some shadows in the background if you want to put some shadows. For example, if I want to create a box and I want to put a shadow, I can always put a shadow here by double clicking shape effect, shadow, and put some shadow. So shadow is not prohibited by Toastmasters. So you can use that, change the colors, remove the white background. So shadows will be clearly visible on a lighter background like this, where once you use any shadow, it will be clearly visible. Like I've used here some shadows for these curved rectangles. I've used shadows here, it looks a little protruding. That's with respect to the elements. Start using the different shapes from the shape gallery to create your elements. A lot of you can go to Google and search for PNG vector images. I'm specifically saying PNG vector images, and you can use that as elements. Maybe I can just quickly Google and show you how it's done. Just go to Google and maybe you can say circle.png vector images. More or less, most of them are free and readily usable. So you can just pick such which is more PNG format. You can pick it quickly and use it. If it's a white background, just pick the same and use it. Maybe if I want to use this, I just copy image and paste it here. If it's a white screen, I can just quickly just put it directly here. Something like this. If you want to create something, you can use directly some elements which are already available. More or less, these elements are free, so don't worry about the elements. So that's more or less about the elements. Let me go quickly on the next part, which is edit shape points. And this is a very interesting thing which I'm going to tell you is, for example, I have a shape, right? I have any kind of shape. For example, I pick up a shape. I have this shape, right? This is a trapezoid. But if I right click and click edit points, so the shape can be changed to any shape, whatever I want. Usually, if you want a curve, this is very helpful. You use a rectangular triangle. Okay, use a rectangular triangle and you want a curvature for it, right? And usually it is difficult to attain a curvature. So how do you do is you edit points and so you have a curvature and then you can use it. Usually this is not recommended. The inverse would be recommended, where the yellow would be lesser and the other color would be darker. So this is one way of using the edit points option. There are multiple ways you can try experimenting all of the edit shape pointers. So this really helps in. One of the posters which you see here is used or done using the same. The curvature you can see, you can place the logo and you can place all the elements other way around. So for mostly cover images, you can use this shape, or if you have some kind of design in mind, but it requires some kind of design shape formatting, then you can always use that. So that's the edit shape option, which is very interesting as a tool. I guess this is the same pointer, so let me delete it. Image background, I've told you, the tool which easily helps you to delete the background. Shape transformation. So let me come on to the shape transformation. For example, if I have a square, I can actually go anywhere outside and transform this image into a different shape. I really don't need the same shape, but I want to transform it into a shape, maybe a rhombus or a design element, which really helps me into putting in what I want to show. So this is the shape transformation, which you really don't need to create the shape, maybe using triangles. With the same shape can be created using triangles joined together and grouped together. You can transform a shape so that maybe if you want to put a logo here, it looks interesting. So it depends on how you want to scale your design or shape your design with respect to shape transformation. So to be very honest, PowerPoint would help you to design anything using shapes as a basic material or basic element to start off with, and you use the shape in different ways to make it more interesting. For example, one of the shapes I used was this corner L shape. If I want to reduce the width, I have the edit points already mentioned here. So I can reduce the width here and place it so that I can maybe I can use the white color so that it looks a little different as a design. I can copy paste it again to show it in a different design. So the end thing looks a little different. It looks like a step or something like that. So you can use multiple options to do multiple ways of doing it. And that's the shape transformation. Shape merging, I showed you how do you merge two different shapes. That's a quick tool to merge two different shapes by grouping them together. For example, if I have a shape which I want to showcase is maybe something like this, right? So I can always group these so that it looks similar. I just have to adjust it a bit. So whenever I am now using this image, I can use it standalone. Like I could have placed Sir's image here, and you can use the forward and backward option to ensure that you're keeping it properly aligned. So for example, I want to place it on top of here. I select both, I group both. So that's how you use the group option quite carefully. So group two different shapes, group images and shapes together so that tomorrow, if I want to reuse it, I just have to copy this group and go somewhere and paste this group. I don't have to really recreate that element again and again. So that's about the shape merging. Let me end by the videography in PowerPoint, right? How do you do videography in PowerPoint? For example, I have these two images. Let me delete all the rest. I have these two images, and if, for example, I'm just showing you there are multiple ways to do it. If I select both, and if I go to transition and if I morph, right, what will happen is I'll show you what will happen. So it will actually animate the shapes and designs which are used from the previous slide, right? I tried doing this for one of the video, and I'll show you the video. The output is simple. Once you do the element, you do the transition into morph and try to use the same elements in a very sequential manner. For example, the first slide is the blue colored square, right? This is the first slide. I use this color, and then the second slide is I use again this, but I use it bottom. I use the logo. Maybe I'll use image. I'll use Syril's image. Let me have a background for Suresh's image, yellow color. Okay. This is the first screen, and this is the second screen, which maybe I'll make it a little bigger. And let me delete both of them. And I want to animate Suresh sir from screen 1 to screen 2. I select both the slides. I go to transition, I go to morph, and then I go to file, save as. And I told you if the images which the posters which you want to save it as JPEG, save it as PNG. But here I want to animate it, so I will save it as MP4, MPG4, right? MP3 4. So once the video is getting created, let me reduce the timing for these screens. So there is a duration here. Let me reduce it to 0.5. This also I will reduce it to 0.5, right? If you want to put some music, you can put music by inserting video, music, anything here. And I have animated this. I have fixed the timing of these screens. And let me show you the output. And this is something little advanced. A lot of people might take time to learn how to animate it. So I would recommend you to use Canva for video-based output. Let me show you this. So this is one kind of animation which you can use, a simple transition based animation. And that's more about the demo which I wanted to show. I would request you all to ask questions at this point of time. I know it's been a little lengthy day, but if you have any kind of reaction, any kind of feedback, any kind of questions, I'm happy to take that.
Hi, can I ask something, Syril?
Sure.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much, first of all. Amazing session. This is Chetna here from Rendezvous Toastmaster Dubai. I just would like to know, for the benefit of my club members, first of all, can we get the recording of these sessions?
I guess the recording would be available, but it takes some time because it needs to be compliant. So we might not be able to share the same recording. We would be putting it on your YouTube channel. And then we will be sharing it.
Okay, because it's quite a lot of information to comprehend in itself. So maybe you can try.
It will be shared. But it will take
how would you be sharing that?
So I would suggest maybe Rosa ma'am, can you put in the Linktree link, and you can just check, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It will automatically pop up once the video is up.
Okay, great. You have a YouTube channel of your club?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That should work, I believe.
But it would take some time because the video needs to be downloaded, converted into the right format, and all the branding is to be done. So it will take some time, maybe a week or more than a week time. But it will
absolutely be no worries in that. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
So I would be happy if what's your reaction for the session, and if you have any questions, I would probably pick those parts.
For the remove background thing, I think there is some PixArt and some other app as well that we can use for removing background, right?
There can be. If you know any app, please do drop it on the chat box so that people can just pick it up and try it out. And I would request, maybe because I'm sharing the screen, it would be difficult for me to see the people who are raising the hand. So please do unmute and speak.
Hi, I'm Leon from Capital Speakers.
Yes, Leon.
For the animation, could we add some music?
Yes, you can add music.
But are there any music in which is not allowed by branding?
So you can download royalty-free music. You can get this from YouTube library, which is royalty-free music. You can also Google royalty-free music, and you can get some music which does not require any kind of permission, and you can just use that music. So a lot of music are already available. You just have to, if it's a YouTube, you have to convert it into MP3 using any online YouTube to MP3 converter and use that as a audio file.
This is Ahmed Shah from Pakistan, newly elected VPPR. I see you have already done a lot of work in preparing your presentation, and new VPPR like me will have to do it from scratch. So if the presentation that you are working on, if this can be shared, it can give us the ready references to the hexa codes, the color theme, and perhaps some of the shapes that you cut, it will be a quick reference that how Syril Thomas did it. So it was
so
just
Emma, all of the things which you see on the presentation. So this is not a very new presentation. I've just added the new elements or new features which Toastmaster brand manual has put in. This is all there in the brand manual. So there's nothing new which I'm bringing except some of the tips and things which again I can share you the presentation. But what happened is I've conducted these workshops in the past, and there have been misuse of the materials without giving the right full credits or the efforts which has gone through to create that material. So it has been used on someone else's name, and a lot of things have happened. That's the reason I got a feedback from my mentor that it would be better if you do not share the materials out and people can take screenshots and stuff like that. But I'll try to pull some of the slides which can be very helpful, and I will request our team, our club team, to drop you an email or drop every one of you an email about things.
That's generous of you. Whatever is possible, please do. And whatever is not, I'm not pushing you.
Sure. So this, as I said, this video will be up on our YouTube channel. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. It will be helpful for a lot of you to understand.
Sure.
And if you want to stay connected, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on a lot of different social media handles. So that's my link tree. I can just copy paste it here on the chat for people who want to just stay connected. Happy to help if you need anything.